A fan theory suggests that the Matrix and the Terminator franchise are in the same universe. Let's explore this absolutely crazy, mind-blowing, but maybe true Matrix theory. What's going on, Matrix fans? Welcome back to the channel. I'm the host of Viking. Make sure you give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for a brand new video every single day. Since The Matrix Resurrections hit theaters, we've been exploring different theories, different possibilities, and also different opinions on the Matrix franchise as a whole, where it could go in the future, how it relates to the past movies, and how it all comes together. Some people hate these movies, some people love these movies, but that's the joy and the beautiful thing about cinema. It's subjective to an extent. We watch different kinds of media all of the time. Movies, shows, TikToks, we read articles, we watch YouTube videos. And some we agree with, some we do not. Some we can relate to, some we don't at all. I could watch a comedy and I could love this comedy so much, and you could watch the same one and hate it. We could then watch a drama. I hate that drama, but you love it. It's difference of opinion, difference of taste, and sometimes you relate to a movie because you can see yourself in the character's shoes. And when watching The Matrix Resurrections, I could see myself in Thomas Anderson's shoes in terms of living the same day over and over again. You know, I've gone through a period of my life where I had something like that and I questioned, what am I doing with myself? And I changed it. And other people might watch The Matrix Resurrections and not relate to Neo at all and say, that's not my Neo. Why can't he fly? Why can't he do this? Why can't he do that? And I love it. I really do, even when I disagree with people. But the fun thing about the Matrix universe is the different theories that people have. Yesterday on the channel we talked about how The Matrix Resurrections could actually be Thomas Anderson, the game developer, playing his Matrix 4 game that Warner Brothers wanted him to make. Go check out that video and let me know your thoughts. But I like to read about the Matrix universe. Articles, blogs, books. Also the books that inspired the Matrix franchise. Simulacra, Simulation, among other things as well. But when you go into the depths of the internet, you find some insane theories. And I know some of you have asked as well for me to do a video about how the Matrix franchise relates to the John Wick franchise, which also stars Keanu Reeves, and there's some insane lapping over to those both franchises. And I am planning on doing a video about that, which is very interesting and maybe means nothing whatsoever, but it's fun to explore. But while exploring the internet, I found a very interesting theory about how the Matrix and Terminator could be connected. This comes from GameRant.com. Fan theory proposes connection between the Matrix and the Terminator. One of the more interesting theories in science fiction going around right now is that the Matrix and the Terminator take place in the same universe. The Matrix and Terminator are two of the most popular science fiction movie franchises of all time. One of the more entertaining pastimes for science fiction fans is to wonder, what if? What if the Matrix and Terminator weren't in fact two of the most popular franchises but two sides of the same coin? One recent fan has a theory based on this hypothesis. The theory lays out the case for both stories actually being in the same timeline. It's one of the more interesting theories out there in the science fiction world, and there are plenty of reasons to think that it actually makes quite a bit of sense. The first thing to keep in mind is that the theory relies on another theory, that movies and television shows are toying with more and more these days. That theory is an understanding in just how alternate timelines work. This, of course, relies on the belief that there are all kinds of different realities where all kinds of different things can end up happening. In order to the Matrix and Terminator to exist in the same universe, some rather unfortunate firsts have to happen. In this particular timeline, the Terminator successfully kills Sarah Connor in the very first film of that franchise by taking her out before she's able to give birth to John. Something entirely different from what fans have seen in that movie franchise take place. With Sarah Connor gone and no John Connor to save the human race, the Terminator ended up doing his job very well. Skynet wins the war against the humans. In fact, it takes over the world despite some last-ditch efforts from the human race. Keep in mind that in the Matrix, humans are trying everything they can to fight back against the machines in what is ultimately a losing effort. Morpheus mentions that the machines eventually adapt and start to run on solar power. In turn, mankind decides to scorch the sky to try and take that energy source away. This is different than the original timeline where Sarah Connor survives and gives birth to John. Mankind never needs to pull out that last-ditch effort to win the way because John is there to lead them. In effect, the reality where the Terminator wins starts a branch of history that basically continues in the Matrix movies. As the tale goes, the humans try to blot out the sun in order to stop the machines in their tracks. Whereas actually Skynet learns to adapt and starts harvesting human beings in order to use as an alternate energy source. This part of the theory actually fits into at least a few scenes of some of the Terminator movies. Every so often, the humans are able to break a machine encampment only to find humans locked up as prisoners of war. This is always met with some confusion because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for an army of killing machines to keep prisoners. But what if there isn't a reason why Skynet started locking people up? What if this was the beginning of storing humans to recycle later in order to use for energy? With John not there to stop them in the timeline where both movie franchises build on one another, John isn't there to defeat the machines and apparently stop this particular humans are energy plot that's been hatched and is carried out throughout the Matrix movies. There are some problems with the idea that the Matrix and Terminator existing in the same universe. The first, of course, is that there's never a glimpse of the kind of humanoid machines Arnold Schwarzenegger is so famous for playing. Of course, this particular issue can be waved away with a rather simple explanation. The Matrix is well into the future when compared to the Terminator storyline. It's possible that the machines have realized that the form is shown facing off against Neo. Morpheus and the rest don't need to be humanoid. In fact, because humanity is living underground, the diggers are far more useful. Skynet is certainly well known for adapting to what it needs to in order to win. The jump into the distant future would also explain why no one who is still alive ever mentions that the AI that started the way was called Skynet. That name could be lost to time. The other big problem with this theory is that an offshoot of the original movies, the Animatrix, is considered canon in that universe. In that animated version of the Matrix, the beginning of the conflict between machines and humans is shown in great detail. However, there's a way around this explanation as well. As viewers move from the Matrix to the Matrix Reloaded to the Matrix Revolutions to the Matrix Resurrections, it becomes quite clear that portions of what actually happened in the original war have been forgotten or erased from human history. This is why the humans don't realize Neo isn't the first Messiah-type leader. It's why, in fact, There have been several people known as the One to come through their world. It doesn't take a giant leap to realize that perhaps the history of the world that is told in Animatrix is actually the history that the machines want people to think is the real history. The big question, if that was the case, is why would whatever Skynet has become by the time viewers pick up the story in the Matrix, is why it feels the need to erase the real history of the war. That honestly seems to be the best argument against the idea of the Terminator and the Matrix being the same universe. It's one that is really hard to explain away. By this period of time, it doesn't appear there will be any rhyme or reason for why it would wipe out the idea of the Terminator from humanity's memory. Of course, Skynet has its own motivations for all the things that they do, including engaging in the war in the first place. So that's the fan theory about the Matrix and the Terminator being in the same franchise. You know what? At the end of the day, it could be. Who knows? But do I believe that the Terminator and the Matrix franchises are intertwined to one continuous story? I do not. But we have never seen the start of the war between the machines and man. How this actually happened. We've never really seen it. So everything is on the table. And it's pretty cool to think that Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator exists somewhere in the Matrix universe. Now, maybe when Matrix 10 happens, or in the distant future when we get another Matrix movie, the big plot twist could be Arnold Schwarzenegger coming out and, yeah, this is how it all started or something like that. It's interesting to think about. It's fun to discuss. And that's why I wanted to make a video about it, was for you guys to get to the comment section, discuss them on yourselves. Maybe some of you can come up with better reasons why the Matrix and the Terminator are in the same universe, or maybe you'll just tell me to stop making videos about this. That's what's fun about it, hopefully. But guys, what's your thoughts on the Matrix universe and the Terminator universe being intertwined together? Could we see it someday? You never know in Hollywood. We could see a crossover because the Terminator franchise is pretty dead right now in terms of engagement. The last one didn't do that well, and Terminator Resurrections didn't do that well either, so maybe they can merge together and be a massive box office hit or something like that. But yeah, it will be interesting to see how both franchises develop going forward, but I can probably safely say they'll never intertwine like this. This will only ever be a theory. And since the Matrix Resurrections didn't make that much money at the box office, and either did the last Terminator film, Dark Fate, is that what it was called? Basically, with those two franchises, it's very hard for them to make such a big impact anymore, considering all the Marvel and DC movies, and especially since The Matrix 1989 was such a big impact on cinema, and also Terminator 2 was the exact same thing. And with both franchises not doing that well right now in terms of box office, I could see them giving a miss in theatrical releases and do limited series. And I think that would benefit both franchises very much. They can build their rep back up, more engagement, more viewers on a streaming service. With a big budget like Game of Thrones or the Lord of the Rings one that's coming, it could do quite well. It could be impactful again, just not on the same form as it did when the originals came out in theaters. Maybe these franchises need to take a different avenue to make such a impact again. But guys, let me know your thoughts on the Matrix franchise, where it's going forward, and the Terminator franchise as well. They have to stop milking Keanu Reeves and Arnold Schwarzenegger someday, but they will obviously continue those franchises to some degree. But how do they do that? Because a Matrix movie without Keanu and a Terminator movie without Arnold, I'm not that interested on the surface. They have to make me want to watch that. But guys, let me know your thoughts. Of course, as always, thanks for watching. Give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you for a video tomorrow.